Welcome to the Inside Silverstone podcast, a business-focused podcast covering all things tech, engineering and innovation. Hosted by me, Chris Broome, a huge tech, motorsport and gaming fan, and also the owner of Longhurst, a firm of lifestyle financial planners and independent financial advisors located in Silverstone, Northamptonshire. This is a series of unscripted and unpolished conversations with leading business owners, thought leaders and high-tech talent where we discuss their experiences within the Silverstone business and motorsport region. We will also be asking them to share their knowledge, insight and their thoughts on the future just for you. If you're looking to learn more about the Silverstone high growth region and commercially connect with like-minded peers, you've definitely come to the right place. Welcome to Inside Silverstone. Welcome to the next edition of Inside Silverstone. My name is Chris Broome and I am your host today. I am delighted to welcome to the show Ray Meadham, who is CEO of Multiview Media Limited. Ray, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Ray, as is customary, if it's okay, I'd like to quickly run through a quick sort of education and career background, just so our wonderful dear listeners can understand a little bit more about you, and then we can sort of crack on and talk about why I brought you on the show. So Is it okay if I do that?
That's fine, yeah.
So your background is music. So education-wise, Trinity College of Music. What did you learn? What were you playing there predominantly?
Trombonist by trade was what I went in to do, and studied how to be a world-class musician.
Okay.
So that was a very lucky opportunity to study at one of the best colleges in the world.
Yes.
So yeah, and I started off at a high level.
And presumably that as a genesis started off from childhood. You were playing recorders and then trombones and trumpets. Yeah, and
I was given the trombone at the age of 12, and so got to grade 8 in 2 years. So I was a bit of I wanted to be the best at everything, so I was very competitive as a child.
Sure.
And I was very lucky to sort of have that opportunity and take it as a career.
Fantastic. And then sort of natural progression career-wise, certainly earlier on in your career, it involved a sort of combination of both teaching in schools and colleges, including our friends at Kingsthorpe College in Northamptonshire,
there, yeah.
And then sort of evolved into managing music artists.
Yeah.
So tell us that story. So teaching, what was that like, and then what was the progression from sort of teaching into managing?
Right, I absolutely loved teaching. I think it was a career decision, and I miss it tremendously sometimes when engaging with young people, being able to inspire them to consider a career in any industry is a major opportunity. So I thoroughly enjoyed that, but I found that my connections in the music industry was such that people were asking me lots of questions about, do I know somebody, how do they do this or whatever. So I realised that actually music management was probably where I was destined to go. So I went down that road and went looking for artists, got artists signed to record labels, worked with lots of local, regional, national artists from Russia and wherever. So we were working across the whole gamut of the music industry. But obviously being a musician, I understood the songwriting, the performing as well. So I could have some empathy with the artist. It wasn't just about my 20%.
Understand. Okay. From a local perspective, certainly from a teaching perspective, so we've got things like Kingsthorpe College, Northamptonshire College, where you're program manager for music for a number of years, and then that's then sort of transitioned as sort of director of A&R music management, which is obviously what you just touched on there, and then last year, so 2018, you launched Multiview Media.
That's correct, yeah.
Which is sort of how I know you, how we sort of met through our sort of mutual contact, Matt Lawley at Barclays. And so Multiview Media, what is it? What do you guys do?
Well, we're developing a multi-camera angle streaming platform. So if you're frustrated watching the television and the director cuts away from the action just at the wrong point, so with the technology we have, you'll be the director of what you want to watch. So you can switch between the camera angles, Vox cam, drum cam, guitar cam.
Right.
And we're converting historic content, so right the way back to Live Aid and so on, into that sort of format, as well as looking to stream live events from music, sport and esports. So it'll be an interactive player that will sit between VR and YouTube.
Okay, so what I've picked up there, so it's not just music. So obviously there is music, so there's clear benefits there, presumably of previous sort of festivals and events,
Yes.
as well as presumably up to date current events, and presumably will it be live as well?
We're working on being able to stream live festivals, so you can watch different stages, say at Glastonbury, and switch between the camera angles from all the stages. So
Right.
There's nothing worse than you spend all your money and watch one stage, and there's 14 other stages that you never get to see. So there's ways and means that we can geolocate the technology just to the festival site itself.
Wow. Okay. And so so you guys are developing the platform, the digital platform, to basically house that all on and put all the content on
Yes.
to them manage.
Yeah. So we're working with a variety of partner organisations, but to deliver the whole package end to end from the content, the camera to the customer.
Okay. And are you allowed to talk about some of those partners? Are you presumably involved with the likes of sort of Google or Amazon or people like that?
Yeah, we're with AWS, is the cloud provider for us, and we get the technical credits from Amazon, so they're paying us to build part of the technology in their system.
Right.
And we're working with a company, Bitmoving, who make the player, and then we just skim the front to make it work with the unique encoding technology that we have to be able to deliver it to you as a customer.
So Amazon's involved in that.
Yes.
So how does a sort of startup, so 2018, get to meet and then do some sort of work with Amazon?
Well, I coming back to what I said about being competitive, I always try and start at the top and work down. So when we put the company together, it was very much who were the biggest partners we could approach to be able to make this work. And obviously, technology-wise, we spoke to Google, we spoke to Microsoft, we spoke to Cisco and to AWS, and I was invited to one of their summits.
AWS, what's that stand for?
Amazon Web Service, so they're the technology partner of Amazon. And so we were invited to one of their summits, met some of the technical brains behind it. They were able to help us with some of it, and then said, well, look, you need to come on our system. So they pulled in a consultancy company and say Amazon are paying us to build that part of the technology within AWS, so it will be an end-to-end solution. So yeah, but sometimes it's worth approaching the biggest name you can possibly try, and if they say no, well, move on to somebody else. I take the view people miss the Beatles, so we are in that position to scope for the people.
Like it, aim big. And so presumably, so you've mentioned Live Aid, and so presumably you've spoken to the people behind that, and they've said if and when this platform goes live, we will provide content.
Yeah, we're working with Kevin Wall, who developed Live Earth, which was the one in 2007. So he's kind of got the content from that and owns that, and then obviously we're working with him through to Harvey Goldsmith and the team behind Live Aid, and we're looking to launch that at South by Southwest in Austin early next year. Okay. So yeah, so it's a lot of networking. It's a lot of different partnerships that you have to pull together, and but working with the major record companies, we're already in with Warner's and Universal and Sony. So basically, we have that kind of blanket process that talking to them, a lot of things happen rather than talking to individuals at the smaller level.
And this is obviously UK, but also presumably in the US, you're trying to build these relationships.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky that our Vice President of Technology, of Strategic Partnerships, is Kelly Richards. So she developed iTunes with Steve Jobs. So again, this thing about starting big, I was lucky enough to get her to work for us. We've got the ex-CTO of Universal is working with us as well. So they have massive contacts in America. So we're already through the front door with quite a lot of the big organisations because of their connections and experience.
And what about sport? So music's great, and I'm a massive music fan, but I'm also a massive sport nut. So how would I benefit as a consumer of this from a sports perspective?
One example is that we were at the WRC last week with the Rally Championships and talking about Colin McRae and the content that they've got there and how that could be generated. So we're working with a marketing company who represent a lot of the sports organisations. So again, it's a way of monetising their back catalogues of their content direct to the fans, and then also streaming the events. Certainly some sports are already well catered for in certain areas, but there are other sports that haven't thought about multiple camera angles yet, or do film it but don't know what to do with it. So.
Presumably, I mean, we're recording this at Silverstone Park, next to Silverstone Circuit, obviously world famous for Formula One.
Definitely.
Presumably, this interview is being aired after I interviewed Chris Gorn, who's technical director of Virgin or Envision Virgin Racing, and so he was reflecting on his memories of the 1970s and coming to Silverstone to watch the Grand Prix. So presumably this type of platform would be able to, in an ideal world, be able to, if I wanted to watch the British Grand Prix from 1980 as an example, but hopefully that content exists and it can be put onto this platform, and we could watch multiple angles of it.
Exactly. I mean, the content is there. It's just sat in a dusty shelf somewhere. It hasn't been thought about, or it's been mixed down to be put on YouTube so that people can watch it, but you don't get that interactive experience of Mansell's overtake, or that's the sort of thing. And I mean, I came here many times to watch the Grand Prix and have fond memories of seeing Jackie Stewart, Graham Hill, and people racing around here. I'd love to be able to see some of those races again, or in that format. So yes, it's just it's a new way of presenting it, and also to the new generation, the Generation Z, who really just have a short attention span, will want to switch between the camera angles. So it serves your older existing fan and the new generation.
Okay. As well as gaming. So we mentioned gaming.
Gaming's a massive opportunity in terms of, being with AWS, that's a partner with Twitch.
Yes.
So there's an opportunity there for us to use our technology alongside what they're doing and be able to stream gamer view, player view, interactive experience on the platform they already use. Very exciting.
But it's still early days. So 2018 it's obviously went live.
Yes.
It's the technology is being built. So you've got a team building it. You've got relationships with AWS, which is phenomenal. You've got a growing sort of early shoot presence in the US, certainly with the relationships you've got there. But presumably it's not all been plain sailing. Presumably there are still challenges. Presumably there's funding questions. Presumably there's strategic partners that you're still looking to find and meet. So talk to us about launching a company, and certainly for those listening to this who haven't launched a company but are thinking about it, trying to put them off, clearly. Because I remember launching Longhurst. It's a lot of hard work.
Definitely.
So just talk to us about what's it like launching a company. What are some of the challenges that you faced that maybe we can all resonate with. And then we can have a quick conversation, I think, about sort of funding plans and as I said, Multiview Media sounds phenomenal, but it's going to require money and more money. So as a young business, what does that look like? So what's it like opening a company, first of all, Ray?
Well, the first thing is to have a clear vision and a roadmap. So, that's clearly where we are. We have a clear vision of what we want to do, how we want to get there, and the roadmap to get there. And then it's about getting the partners on side to be able to move the jigsaw pieces forward. So I was very lucky that when I started, I met a good legal firm, a good accounting firm. Thanks to yourself for the recommendation there. So we were able to put together a very strong foundation to build the business, but that doesn't always happen with a lot of companies. And then obviously from then it was very much about the technical partners. We needed the platform, so getting the technical partners to be able to meet those challenges, and then build the content holders and get them on board. So it's a building block process, but I started off as CEO, CFO, CMO, CTO. You do all the jobs, but you're not qualified to do all of those roles. So it was very important to have people that I could talk to give me that advice and guidance, so that I didn't make schoolboy errors. And the company will be growing very quickly. It has to scale massively next year, because we're not just going to sort of a drop in the ocean. We're taking on YouTube, TikTok, and some of the big players out there. So we have to be very structurally sound. And like you rightly said, that does take investment. It does take a team of people to make that happen. So we strategically have the marketing, we strategically have the technical in place, and we're now working on the financial element to make that a reality. And we've been very lucky with the partners that our overheads are very small to start with. We don't have a massive, head office, and so we're not having to employ 1 million people or manufacture something. It's all in the cloud.
Yes.
So that does help a lot. But yes, a seed round and then a planned Series A round is already in place for us to kind of build the company, and we already have that mapped out as to how we want that to go. But these things never go according to plan.
Sure.
A week takes 2, 3 months takes 6. You know, money is promised and then for whatever reason doesn't occur or is delayed. So you have to deal with all of those sort of things. So it can be a very stressful process at the start, but as long as you've got that vision and that roadmap and a determination. I'm very passionate to succeed. I'm a very competitive person. So yeah, when you have a down day, there's always a phone call from somebody famous or something happens in the plus column on the marketing side or something. So you just balance that out. But yes, it's not easy to start any company unless you've planned it out in advance and you're very lucky with the people that you have around you. I can trust all of the people that I have around me with the roles that they do and what advice they give me. And also a lot of them do it thinking of the bigger picture. They want to be part of a bigger company, so they're happy to join at a start rather than wait until, you know, we're a million trading company and then there'll be a host of people throwing money at you and wanting to be your friend and wanting to offer you X, Y, and Z. So, you know, it is a challenge, but, you know, I'm very lucky, as I say, the likes of yourself and Matt at Barclays and Kirsty at EMW have all played a critical part in us getting to where we are now and building that foundation for the future. And I know that all of those can scale with us when we go.
And so from a funding perspective, so at the moment, because clearly we're on a podcast and people are going to listen to this, so, you know, presumably there's an opportunity to promote what you're doing and to potentially seek further investment. So where are you? So presumably you are looking for more investment, and that provides people an opportunity to get into this at ground level?
Yeah, I mean, we've just secured the SEIS and EIS approval, which is great. It allows us to, you know, access an English investor marketplace. We're looking to raise, you know, £250,000 at the moment to get us to the launch phase in Las Vegas with AWS at the end of the month with Robbie Williams, and then to South by Southwest with the Department of International Trade. Then there'll be the Series A round, which, you know, we're already working with some larger VC companies, but they won't entertain angel investment at this stage, obviously, because we're pre-revenue. But there is that process of raising that £250,000 is a large sum of money, but it's not a large sum of money in the grand scheme of investment world.
Yeah. Okay, fine. And so obviously if anybody listening to this, I'll ensure I leave contact information and links to Multiview Media in the show notes. So if people obviously want to contact you, they can do that. And so you also sort of very kindly mentioned, ourselves, which is Longhurst, financial planners, Matt Lawley, Barclays Bank, Kirsty, which is EMW Law in Milton Keynes, Northamptonshire, and also Will Smart, who is my friend, my accountant at Collins Accountants, who we've also introduced. And so for those that are again potentially considering opening a business, or indeed already working and running a company but maybe quite young, you've very eloquently put that, and leveled the importance of having a trusted team of advisors around you. Do you think that you would have the sort of comfort or confidence that you have clearly at the moment with your foundations if you hadn't have met the likes of Kirsty and Matt?
No, I would have been struggling to go on the internet and find whatever information I could find, or talk to people who I don't know or don't have a working relationship with. So that's very difficult, because then you're trusting information that you can't verify, and each business is different. So again, my requirements are completely different to, say, somebody else, a client that Kirsty may have, or a client that Will's dealing with. So although the underlying structure is the same, we are a different business to somebody in a manufacturing world or somebody in another industry. So having that ability to be able to talk to them and for their insight from an outside perspective, I think we're a great company and we'll be very successful. But it's very nice sometimes to be grounded by somebody who can say, well, yes, but you need to do X, Y, or Z. So so it's very useful to have that kind of sounding board, because, like I said, when you're the CEO, the CFO, the CTO, and the CMO, the board meetings can be very boring.
No, absolutely. Jack of all trades, master of none. So
exactly,
you're absolutely right. So you need to bring people in who can obviously expertise and take some of the pressure off you. We're sat in Silverstone Park at the moment in the Innovation Centre where I typically do all these interviews. How important do you think technology parks like Silverstone Park are to young businesses like yours, but also just the technology and high growth space? Full stop. Yeah. How important are places like Silverstone Park?
Massively important. The cost of setting up a business can be very expensive. So to share resources, share an environment, people you can talk to in the industry is massive. I mean, incubators and accelerators, I've been around quite a few of them to see what they're like, both here in the UK and in Europe and at Silicon Valley. So, Silverstone here is equivalent to a Silicon Valley kind of environment. It fosters a great working relationship, and a lot of brains together in the same place can solve a lot of early issues. So I think it's massively important. And living down the road from here, it would be very nice to come and have a footprint here in here, whether it's the motorsport part of what we do or whether it's the technology part of what we do. Obviously, with 5G coming on board, that's massively a big thing for us. We're already dealing with the three big 5G providers in the UK because that's going to help our business grow dramatically. So again, the networks and the people that you have here are all important to that. So no, I would strongly advise any company to look at that. The shared working space is a feeding ground for all of that.
And you say you live locally as well, so presumably you live in Northamptonshire?
I do, yeah. Just down the road.
And so you've been here long?
Over 20 years, yeah.
Okay, fine. Clearly, obviously, teaching at Kingsthorpe and Northamptonshire College, and so for those that potentially aren't living in South Northamptonshire or indeed working here, why should they consider moving to this part of the world?
I think it's centrally located. The reason we moved here is that I can get to all the airports. I can get to London very quickly for meetings, which was the hub of the industry in which we were working in at the time. Obviously now with the internet, the days of me having to send cassette tapes and go to face-to-face meetings, now we do it all by Zoom and what have you, and it's all digital. So things are slightly different, but it's a very relaxed part of the world. You've got Silverstone on your doorstep, some amazing historic facilities around here as well. So yeah, I mean, it was great bringing both my daughters up here, and they thoroughly thrived in the area. So and I think it's I'm very proud to be associated with the region.
Good, yeah, ditto, yeah, agreed. Yeah, Louise and I moved here last year, and so very, very happy with that decision. South Northamptonshire is a beautiful part of the world. What else should we talk about, Ray? I'm thinking about embarrassing mistakes right now because it's good fun. So yeah. I like to ask my guests as they sink in their chair through fear to share an embarrassing mistake, just because I like to sort of humanise everybody. I think it's good to sort of laugh at each other and say, look, we all can do stupid things from time to time.
Yeah.
So is there anything in Ray's background, anything in your back catalogue, as it were, that you'd be prepared to share that we could learn from and maybe have a laugh at?
I think there are two things. One is that when I first got into music management, I was lucky enough to go for a meeting with EMI, and I thought, I've cracked this. I've got into one of the biggest companies. So turned up with cassette tape to play to one of the biggest record execs at EMI, put the cassette tape in the player, and it was blank. And I only had that cassette tape. One chance to meet this one person, and it was blank. So again, I apologised. Very sorry. This band that we were managing, from Russia, we're trying to get out of Russia to come to the UK. One opportunity. Anyway, I kind of kept in contact with that person, and we've developed a working relationship over the years. And every time I see him, he still laughs about, have you checked the technology? So you don't lose that kind of embarrassment. But actually, he remembers me for that moment. So sometimes it can be turned to your advantage.
Well, I think how you handle that situation, and the humanity of it. Yeah, everybody makes mistakes, right?
But I think that goes back to being a teacher. When you're stood in front of 30 students, you have to be thinking on your feet, because they all have 30 different agendas. So you have to be able to respond to different things at the drop of a hat. So that's certainly one of those. And the second one for me is I broke a Guinness World Record with Smokey the loudest purring cat.
Wow.
So
really?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. It's a very nice certificate next to where the gold disc should be. Is the certificate. But yeah, I was approached by the lady who owned the cat to record it, and to help her. And so I thought, I'll get the students to do it, but none of the students wanted to do it. They didn't see the value of it. So I was on my hands and knees recording this cat purring away. It broke the Guinness World Record. I've got a very nice certificate. We got called from NBC and ABC and various, major organisations, and it had millions of views on YouTube at the time. So,
excellent.
So it again, it's one of those door openers. Sometimes when people say, not everybody has that on their CV. They may have the same degree or they may have the same career, whatever. But very few people have, something like that. So sometimes it can be turned to your advantage.
Okay, so we definitely need to include a link in the show notes to that on YouTube, because that's a fantastic story, and as you said, very unique and very much a talking point, and a positive talking point. So fantastic. What about life advice? So I like to ask our guests, if you were to go back to a younger version of Ray, 16, 18 years old, having had the life and career that you've had so far, what's the sort of standout piece of advice that you'd give yourself that you could share with others?
I think the most important thing is to find out as much as possible about whatever you want to do. There's not always one route. I didn't get a degree. I went to a music college and got a diploma playing the trombone, but I got into education and got senior roles in education without a degree, lecturing at a university, etc. So just getting your GCSEs, your A-levels and your degree is one route into the world, but that's not the only route. So don't be afraid to explore vocational qualifications or external routes, apprenticeships, etc. So I think the world has changed a lot now, is that, you can get into all sorts of careers in lots of different ways, and don't be put off by somebody saying no. Like I said before, somebody missed the Beatles. But somebody signed the Beatles and has made quite a good career out of it. So I think sometimes you have to keep knocking on the doors, keep approaching people, but think about who you're approaching, when you're approaching them, and what you're asking them for. I'm very lucky with the people I've spent my life working with, and the people that I've got in the business, because we've thought about who to approach, when to approach, and what to approach them with. But yeah, at 16, 18, you're being told that you must do your GCSEs, your A-levels and your degree, and that works great for particular education establishments, but it doesn't work for every young person.
Here. Ray, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm going to get you to do something in a second that I've never done on the show. But before that, I just want to thank you for coming on. For those that are listening, the reason I've asked Ray to come on is, first of all, obviously to share the story of a young business, funding requirements, some of the challenges, and then hopefully lots of the opportunities ahead. We're keen to interview and speak to other young businesses, certainly those that are within sort of a year or 2 years old. The essence of the podcast isn't just to interview the likes of Barclays and EMW and Grant Thornton and big old established company names. It's also to help promote and support those businesses similar to Longhurst that are relatively young and up and coming and have mighty plans for the future. And so that was one of the reasons for asking Ray to come on. What I want to do, Ray, and I've never done this with anyone else before, is look, you're clearly capital raising at the moment. And so the next 12 months, 18 months are pivotal to the business. And so I want, Longhurst, Inside Silverstone podcast, but also the community that listen to this to help. And so, 1 minute, 2 minutes, talk to us about funding requirements, talk to us why businesses and angel investors should consider investing in Multiview Media, talk to us about some of the sort of names and famous people that you've been talking to about potentially providing content to Multiview, and then we can close off the interview.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Well, we're raising £250,000 equity in the company, and the product will goes live in December at AWS reInvent with Robbie Williams, Nebworth Show. We're already in dialogue with Cirque du Soleil, Nitro Circus, about their content. Warner Music are going to pilot the project with their historic artists and their live artists. We're looking towards Live Earth and Live Aid for 2020, and obviously working with sports organisations like WRC, etc., in terms of content from them. So the investment allows us to deliver that MVP to those clients who are already keen to use the technology, and then the fans worldwide can engage with that technology at the click of a button, swish and flick, and be able to access content that isn't VR, so you don't have to put on a huge device and sit on your own, and isn't YouTube where you have to surf through cats playing the piano to watch what you want to watch. So it's a new way of presenting old content and a new way of interacting fans with the current streams that are out there.
Where's the return on investment?
We consider that at the moment an EBITDA of 12 million by the end of the first full trading year. Obviously, our overheads are quite small because of the nature of the business in the cloud and the partners that we have. With Amazon with the R&D costs. So basically, we're giving the large percentage of revenue share goes to the artist, but we also have the data collection. So more angles is more data information for those partnerships. There's no adverts on the platform, but we'll be embedding the branding AR, so there'll be billboards built into each of the video angles, so your product's in shot all the time. So we'll have revenue from sponsorship and companies through that process.
So just to focus on that, so what you're saying there with the VR bit is, so like if I'm watching a Glastonbury event and I'm watching the drummers or the guitarist, you can embed adverts into what I'm watching.
Yeah, we can put the Starbucks coffee cup into that image that was never there. So exactly that happened at Game of Thrones. So we can put your brand front and centre. So Sennheiser sponsoring Voxcam, their microphones in shot all the time, or if Coca-Cola want to embed their brand in all of the angles on that particular process, it can be embedded in, and we won't impinge on the original brands that were there. We're not going to replace, the Lucas Oil or whatever brand that was in there. There's other billboard space that we can embed in there as well. So,
and as a consumer, how would I access this, and do I have to pay like a membership each month, or how does that work?
You can either access it through the individual artist page, so Robbie will direct to his fans, and they will pay a premium, a one-off payment to watch it as many times as they like. So we normally are expecting to charge $4.99. Some artists want to charge more because they think the fans will pay more for high quality content, and then there'll be a library process through our website where you'll be able to pay a monthly subscription and just surf through all the content from music, sport, esports, and everything else that we'll be putting out there. So
there we go, Ray. 31 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Great interview. Thank you very much for coming on.
No, pleasure.
We'll make sure we put a bunch of stuff in the show notes, so if people want to contact you to learn more, discuss investing, look at the YouTube video, look at the Guinness World Record, then we'll make sure they can
send you all that.
Yeah, we can get to that. And what I'll also do is just write down some of the professional advisors that have sort of helped you along the path in the show notes, so that again, if other people wanted to talk to those advisors, then they can clearly do so.
Definitely.
Ray, thank you for coming on.
That's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
The Inside Silverstone podcast is produced by the team at Longhurst for the benefit of those with a passion for all things tech, engineering and innovation. For more information, please visit longhurst.co.uk/Inside Silverstone, whilst also remembering to give us a 5 out of 5 star rating on iTunes. Please note that neither Chris Broome or Longhurst work for Silverstone Park, Silverstone Circuit or Silverstone Technology Cluster.